Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today TV. I'm Sakshi Batra and this is Market Today, where we help you understand all the latest trends of the stock markets halfway through the mark. How are the markets really trading at this point in time, including the benchmarks, the broader markets, and what is the kind of news flow that's impacting the market sentiment as we speak. Of course, the big news that we continue to track from last 4-5 days is the Adani Group crisis that continues to face one turn after the other. The latest developments being overnight, we've seen the FPO being withdrawn by the group, the largest ever FPO that was launched in the history of India. Gautam Adani also coming out early in the morning in a video message explaining the rationale behind the pulling off of this FPO. But the carnage on the Adani Group stocks is not stopping anywhere. It continues to fall. Even as we speak, Adani Enterprises down by 11.8%. 1882 is the price at which it is trading at currently. Remember, the FPO price was over 3100 rupees as well. So sharp fall from those sentiments have been hit very, very badly after the Hindenburg report. We'll continue to track this very closely. But apart from that, one day ahead of the budget, all those gains that were actually brought in because of the budget sentiments, they were actually hogged on by the Adani Group carnage. And of course, most of the gains were wiped off because of the Adani Group stocks and the insurance space stocks as well. That was one of the casualty in the budget announcements yesterday. We'll keep an eye out on that too. And of course, the individual movers and shakers in today's trading session. Talk about some of those as well in today's trading session in terms of the sectors. The Nifty bank is trading lower today, with the PSU banks, private banks, especially the financial services sector, dragging the overall sentiments of the street. Metals have in fact turned weaker today. In a half time, we have seen 2% cut for that one, 1% drop for the financial services as well. In terms of the top gainers and the losers, the Nifty gainers include stocks like ITC, Britannia, Hindustan Unilever, FMCG really taking the show today. Infosys and IndusInd Bank supporting the sentiments. Downward move, of course, Adani Enterprises, Adani Ports, UPL, HDFC Life and Eicher Motors, some of the losers in this trade, down by over 3% to 11.5% or so. Let's welcome our guest for the day. Vinit Bolinjkar joins in from Ventura Securities. He's the head of research there. Welcome, Vinit, and thank you so much for taking the time out. Overall speaking, of course, we would have usually started off by asking you that what the budget really means for the stock markets, but it is the Adani Group stocks that have hogged the limelight right ahead of the budget and before as well. So help me understand, over the last 4-5 odd sessions, how have you traced the developments on the Adani Group and the way the stocks have reacted, and what is your first comment on the way the FPO has been pulled off?
My answer is going to be slightly longish, but I will, please bear with me. So when the IPO was announced, that time the price was around 3600, and existing investors of Adani then would have flipped the stocks. So they would have hedged with shorts with the hope to buy the stock in the FPO, which was one of the India's largest, right? So there was an artificial demand scarcity created. And with the Hindenburg revelations, or let us say allegations, what happened is that there was a vortex created which saw the price plummet. And then obviously one thing led to the other, where they had to get bailed out by the Indian corporate sector. And FPO did go through, but then Adani did the right thing by calling off the FPO, because you're getting investors in on your good faith at 3200, and when the price is 2000, it doesn't really make sense to risk your reputation. So to that extent, the FP was called off. Okay, and we are seeing a little aftermath of that sell-off continue to happen because there is lack of buyers. Now the sentiment is very weak. Okay, but if we were to go and threadbare the various businesses of the group, I can assure you and tell you that all the Adani is an infrastructure company, and every project has a lane on it. Infrastructure projects typically have a debt to equity of 3:1, right? So obviously, when you're getting in an financial investor, he will ensure that the cash flows of that project are to pay off the debt of that project, right? So there is an escrow mechanism. The cash flows flow in and they go to the escrow account. The banker takes a share, and then the surplus flows to Adani. That is how the deals are structured. If you see Adani's every company and every deal, let's start off with example of Adani Green. where you are providing power at 2 rupees and some paise, okay, which is the cheapest power. Obviously,
Correct.
that gets absorbed by uh, the discom because it is the cheapest source of power, and the payment
Hmm.
is made good. And
Hmm.
SECI ensures that you will get paid for the next 25 years.
Hmm.
So these
Okay.
funds have got cash flows, they have their own independent source of funding, okay, and these are secular transactions which continue to flow. The
Hmm.
same thing is replicated across entire of Adani's portfolio of
Yeah.
businesses, whether it be
Yeah.
ports, whether it be transmission, whether it be airports, and these are all long gestation projects with nearly 30 to 50 years of cash flows flowing in.
Yeah.
Uh, Now, if you were to step back at the group level, the group generates about 50,000, 57,000 to 60,000 crores of EBITDA.
Yeah.
Okay. And their net debt is around 1,60,000 crores. So you are leverage, which is at 4:1, which is uncomfortable, right? From a investor's point of view. But if even if the company for 2 months, 2 quarters stalls any growth plans, and let's say hypothetically pays back 25,000 crores of the debt, then you come into a very extremely comfortable territory from where the projects can be serviced, and the company can long haul their growth plans in a more judicious manner where the source of funding is established so that they can grow at the pace at which the funds are available.
Right. So, what would
So
you really advise all the investors to do at this point in time? This will be a two-pronged question. One, for all those investors who are looking at this dip as a potential opportunity. All of those who missed the rally in 2022 and have this FOMO of not participating in the Adani Group stocks. Is it an opportunity for them to invest, or is it like catching like a falling knife? Second question would be, what about those investors who were sitting on handsome profits are now looking at an exit opportunity but are not able to do so because of the continuous lower circuits that we are seeing on the screen?
until the existing investors continue to remain invested and don't create the supply, the stock will continue to go down because there is a dearth of buyers. Okay. Now the question is for the new investors who missed this bus and would want to invest. I would recommend them that they not catch a falling knife because you don't know where the bottom finally is. Okay. So while there is value in these stocks, we have to understand that there is a crisis of liquidity, and until that crisis of liquidity is not sorted out, it would not be a good price to get into.
Right.
Fundamentally, I definitely think that these are mouth-watering valuations, but considering the sentiment, I would wait for the stocks to stabilize, let the bad blood run out, and then take a fresh view into the stocks.
Okay, what about the SEBI, SEBI talking about the reports that they want to now probe into the stock price crash, into the FPO as well, any misappropriation or of stocks prices as well. And now RBI also now looking at getting details from the banks who have exposure to Adani Group. How do you see all these developments taking shape, and what could be the incremental loss that Adani Group stocks could actually look at because of these?
So, the Adanis themselves have answered this question, and I would like to second it in the fact that, there are all these businesses are regulated.
Yeah.
There are separate entities regulating all their businesses, and they're audited at different levels.
Hmm.
So, chances of, you know, harakiri being present is remote, but we can never rule out because we don't know. We are outsiders. We are minority investors, not having access to the entire information and how the decision making was done. Uh, but it is important that the RBI and the SEBI come in and clear the mandate for everybody, not only for the anxious investors and who are investing in the Indian markets, but also for the group. So if there is nothing to be sought, then once the clean chit or whether the question marks or the red flags are raised, I think it is good for the Indian markets to move ahead from this saga.
Sure, sure, absolutely. And that's what we will also do. Let's move on from the Adani Group stocks, which we've been continuously tracking, and we'll keep revisiting this space as well because it impacts millions of investors out there. But, we are just right one day ahead of the budget. The budget had several announcements that could have cheered the markets for a long haul, but it has been stopped short because of this current crisis that we are facing. Look at an ITC, for example. The stock has been up for the second day after the budget day, 5% uptick right now, despite those announcements of the customs duty right there. Anything that really interested you in the budget, and that probably made you think that these are the sectors and stocks that you would be now looking at potential buys after the budget?
So actually, we have been proponents and advocates of the India growth story right from the beginning, and every aspect of the sequel of budgets that have come in has been to broad base the wealth creation in the country. So if you take any of the government programs, which are aimed at the BPL category, basically the government provides for all of their livelihood, be it from inputs as a farmer, or providing them with basic monthly income. I think everything is taken care of. So whatever surplus they earn goes into the consumption cycle.
Yeah.
Your housing is taken care of, your insurance is taken care of, your healthcare is taken care of. Roti, kapda, or makan is provided for by the government. So whatever they earn becomes discretionary spend in their own small way. And this is contributing to the larger scale of we are like 140 crore people, right? We're the largest population. So that is going to have a snowball effect, which is going to start kicking in, and it is very difficult to now stop this gargantuan momentum that is flowing. Add to
Right.
this the good story that flips in, add to this the infrastructure story that flips in, and add to this the banking credit growth that flips in uh, the credit which is provided to the capex. Now,
Right.
one interesting thing out of this budget that you could take off is while the headline number of capex is very high, but if you see the government has uh, may have kind of come on a pause in its capex program, because now the private cycle has started kicking.
Yeah.
So I think that this is a very good situation to be in, where the government now takes a backseat because the private cycle is now coming in, and the money would be spent on more welfare programs, more on uplifting the masses, which would take uh, which would be very good for the government's point of view. Other things are that they've put more money in the hands of the middle class, apart from uh, private classes at the uh, lower income category. So I think every aspect of the bull market for consumption economy is now well in place. Exports are looking extremely good, and our long-term average of the Nifty multiple is about 17 times. We're very close to that. So there is less downside and a large upside which we need to capture.
All right, we'll get back to the markets, and then thank you so much, Vinit, for being with us on the show and helping us understand, the approach that investors should have on the Adani Group stocks, and post the budget, how should one really approach the markets overall, and where are the sentiment boosters really likely to kick in from, and the kind of potential returns that one can look to tap. Many thanks for joining in. The market's still lower in trade, about 0.3% lower for the Nifty, 17,558. Very, very volatile trade of action that you can see today. 59,671 for the Sensex right here. With that, we will wrap up this edition of Market Today, but do stay tuned on to Business Today TV to continuously track all the developments with respect to the Adani Group, as well as overall markets, and the way market experts are really looking at how should you be really tapping the markets and the momentum and the potential returns that could come away from the budget announcements as well. Many thanks for joining us, but don't forget to subscribe to this channel and also stick with us via our other social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn and Instagram. Many thanks for tuning in.
Hello and welcome to Business Today Television. You're watching our post-budget coverage, budget that led to a sharp and smart rally in the markets, and joining